All right, y'all. Let's take a little trip to Throwback City real quick. I want to watch Candace Owens and Joe Rogan go at it over climate change. This was a very famous moment. It was Joe, you could tell he was sort of, fed up with her. He found Candace to... I think Candace strikes him as a bullshitter and as somebody who works backwards from her conclusions. And, I think that's true. I think that's just true about Candace. She doesn't have that sense of authenticity, which I think is something that Rogan really prioritizes over everything else. And I'm not saying that, I actually don't agree with his perception a lot of the times. Like he thinks I'm authentic and honest, which, of course, I am. But he also thinks that, Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro are. And so sometimes, my point is sometimes his meter on that misfires. But with Candace, he was spot on. And so this was a very famous moment. They went back and forth. It was largely over climate change, but I think some other things are in here too. I put it on 1.25 speed, so if you don't want to do that, just slow it down to 0.75 on your end. But anyway, let's get started.
Night walkers at the point.
But I don't understand how you think that we're almost losing America, and there's a battle for America.
I really feel that, just in every regard, in terms of just the people that were running, like Hillary Clinton. This woman was a globalist. Just think about who we were in bed with, like Saudi Arabia, selling all of our uranium to Russia.
Okay, hold up. Already we gotta pause. Holy shit. Yeah, we're in bed with Saudi Arabia. We're in bed with Saudi Arabia under every Democratic president and every Republican president. What, you think Bush wasn't beholden to the Saudis? They flew, the fucking bin Laden family out of the country when the attacks happened on 9/11. Yeah, everybody's beholden to the Saudis, but notice that she makes the point to make a partisan point, to argue that, Donald Trump and the Republicans are going to be the saviors? Trump gave them a multi-billion-dollar weapons deal. Trump took over $300,000 directly from the Saudis through his hotel and then turned around and approved that weapons deal. Go back and look at Trump's commentary when Jamal Khashoggi was killed. He was downplaying that shit. And the idea of they're globalists. Yeah, so is every Republican. If by globalist you mean, they're job outsourcers, it's yeah, corporate America has bought the Democratic and the Republican parties, and they basically get them to do their bidding. And that includes supporting all these trade deals that outsource decent American jobs for pennies on the dollar to Bangladesh and China and all these places. But notice, she framed it as a partisan thing.
Trump came in and was no, America, people, we were at the gap, we're losing the middle class. The gap between the rich and the poor was literally...
And what do you think is causing that?
Policies, shipping all of our jobs overseas.
Policy. What do you think is causing that? Policies. Yeah, shipping the jobs overseas. Again, Democrats and Republicans support it. In fact, I'm sure if you go back and crunch the numbers, it's in terms of the voting records, it is more Republicans who support outsourcing. So she frames it as an anti-democratic point and pro-Republican point, but that's just totally misstates the reality of it.
The government getting bigger and bigger. You can't do anything as an entrepreneur in America without a piece of paper from the government, discouraging people with this piece of paper, shutting down the factories, forgetting that there's something, there's a little land between New York and LA, believe it or not. And this is what Trump understood. We were losing that. And Trump appealed to those people. I'm still floored. As I'm traveling the world and seeing different pieces of the country, I'm learning how ignorant I was. And that's the best thing in the entire world.
Way?
Just, I fell victim to the idea that it was progress. We have to care about the environment. It was progress. And it's no, we've been losing. America has been losing. And Donald Trump understood that in a way that I didn't. And
I thought, think we have to care about the environment?
No, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit?
No. Okay, let me clarify.
Wow. She almost she makes it really easy to dislike her and to dismiss her as a silly person. She said, it's a false choice she's presenting. You could either care about jobs and working people, or you can care about the environment. It's actually, no, we can do both, and we can do both easily. So, yes, I'm in favor of virtually every single policy that, helps working people. And one of those policies would be, for example, a Green New Deal. So if we invest massive amounts of money in green and renewable technologies, and set up the factories and hire people for it. And we, I'm not an expert on this, but we should exhaust every single avenue possible. Invest in wind, solar, nuclear, geothermal, thorium, which is supposed to be like meltdown proof nuclear. So again, I'm not an expert, but you should be looking into all of that and going full speed ahead with every single thing that works. And so that would be both good for the environment to do that, good for the economy, and good for working people. And she sets it up like it's a false choice and literally says, I don't even care a little bit about the environment. Okay, Candace.
By this, I don't throw trash on the ground. Okay. I'm not saying we need to trash the environment. But do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't believe in climate change?
Well, I think the climate always changes, I guess is what I say. Do I believe that this is an issue?
You could tell Joe is really annoyed by her.
Issue that is being that is global warming, which they've changed conveniently. They got rid of the word once scientists started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans. I don't at all believe they had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that deal. It was terrible.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject,
right?
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them and what can combat it and what could not. Have you done all this, or do you take this flippant opinion based on the party line?
This wouldn't be the hill I died on, right? But it's not about part. I just genuinely, I've read a ton about it, but I would not be able to come to you and say this is my strong opinion. But here's the easiest way to say this, right? Okay. The fact that there is a disparity in the science community about whether or not it's real is enough to.
It's very little disparity. Most scientists, the vast majority agree that human beings are negatively affecting climate change.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
So you think that the very few scientists that disagree with the consensus are the ones that are correct?
Well,
and by the way, the scientists that disagree, when you look into their funding sources, they are largely funded by big oil. So basically, they're paid hacks to spread the propaganda and raise just a little bit of doubt. And as long as they pretend like there's a little bit of doubt, then we keep debating it and we don't actually enact policies to change it. That's the trick.
I think if something is it's either subjective or it's objective, and there are objective truths, right? But it's subjective if you're saying that there are some, and I don't think there's very little. There are some that don't get paid to go on TV. There's some that are not Bill Nye, who are not funded scientists, and that has been a whole.
Well, Bill Nye's not a scientist.
I know.
He's not. He's
it broke my heart when I found out.
Science
mouthpiece.
Propagandist.
Yeah, that's the point.
He's no, that's not a good word.
I don't think Al Gore is a scientist.
He's not. Right. But Bill Nye is like a science influencer or a science entertainer.
Yeah, he's but
he doesn't have a background in actual science. He's not a scientist. He doesn't have a PhD. He's got an
I learned about him in school. Everything I did in science had to do with Bill Nye.
Well, he promotes science, and science is not bad.
Yeah.
But the real problem is with climate change is that, for sure, there has been ups and downs throughout the history of this planet. They're observable. They follow them in. It was one of the subjects that I had earlier today with Dr. Robert Schoch. In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So,
what website is
87%, and this is
Scientific American.
Yeah.
Yeah, .com though, cause that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that. But this is just a random website. And
oh, come on. .com though, I don't trust that. You don't trust anything that has .com on it. Oh, this is golden.
Well, Scientific American is not necessarily a random website.
I don't believe this at all. Just so you know.
You don't believe it at all?
I genuinely don't believe it. I know you do, but I genuinely don't believe it.
I believe most of the time the consensus of scientists that are studying the data.
Right.
And so what they're doing is
But do you remember all of the stories that came out about the scientists that said that when they tried to present their evidence to show they were basically just getting shut down at every corner? You can pull that up too. Scientists who look up the opposite, right? Instead of looking for what you're searching for, looking for what you're not looking for.
Yeah, but Candace, you never do that. You have never once in your life fucking done that. Why don't you look up the opinions that disagree with you? Candace, you've never done that. The idea that she's well-versed in the opinions of the people who disagree with conservative Republican orthodoxy is hilarious. Her bread and butter is just straw-manning the opposition.
I didn't search for it. That's what I found when I searched it.
Sorry. Look up.
But this is my question. Yeah. Why are you so
wrecked?
Sure, this is an
because what you just said.
Extremely complicated subject,
and it is. I said I am not so sure that I would die on the hill for it. Mm-hmm. My opinion right now, and is just that it was a means. Because forget the fact of whether you believe global warming is real. Let's say it's 100% real. Let's say we know for a fact it's real. Is there a way?
Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Global warming, climate change is definitely real. It's happening.
Well,
the question
but
is
it's
why
always
it happened.
happened.
Yes, it has always happened.
So what is the
real-
climate change? Yes, the climate changes. It was different weather yesterday than it was today. The climate
Oh my God. Conservatives are not sending their best and their brightest, bro. They really aren't.
is forever changing. Like that's the problem, is that people are making it seem like that's something weird.
No,
it's
no,
not
no, that's
unique.
not. You're misrepresenting the issue. The issue is people think that human beings are exacerbating climate
Right.
change to the point where there's a tipping point. We cross over that tipping
Right.
point. We're going to deal with huge problems that could be corrected if we act now and put a lot of funding into climate control.
Okay.
And this is what Howard Bloom was on talking about a few days ago. He was talking about that the real future involves the technology of climate control, and that what we have to be really careful of is letting it get too far where you can't ever stop it and pull it back. This is what scientists are
Right.
warning about. This is why they want emission standards. This is why they want to figure out how to get people to be aware of the fact that this is a real issue.
Okay.
Now, irregardless, human beings, if they never existed,
Random pet peeve, Joe, just say regardless. I prefer regardless to irregardless.
the Earth has constantly gone through cycles. The question is not whether or not the Earth has gone through cycles of cooling and warming.
Right.
The question is, are we exacerbating that? The vast majority of scientists say we are.
Okay.
Now, this could negatively impact all sorts of coastal cities. This could be a gigantic problem. This is not like propaganda that's drummed up by some sort of big business that seeks to make money off of this, or some sort of a
Well, they were making money off
organization.
of it.
Al Gore might have made some money off
No,
of
but
it.
like
who's making
the
money off
agreement
of
that we
it?
were in, they were that was like the amount of money that America was losing. But here's what I was going to ask you. So let's just
Wait a minute, the amount of money America was losing? Who is
in
America?
the Paris Agreement. This is the reason why we
Okay.
wanted to get out of the Paris Agreement. But that's what I wanted to get to.
There's
So let's say we all
arguments about
agree
the
that
Paris
global
Agreement.
warming is real. I don't believe it's real. Okay, so I can't
But
sit
why?
here.
But
I
here's the
can't.
question. But why have a belief?
What do you mean?
Why have a belief as to whether or not global warming is real or not real?
Because
if
I
you
just-
don't
I
have
just
a
find that
background
when
in
things-
it, you don't
you're
understand
correct.
the science.
You are correct.
But why have a belief in it?
Right. So it's not a belief. It's not a belief in it. I don't believe.
So this is something Joe really hates: unearned certitude. He really doesn't like that. Like you could there are a lot of opinions that are out there that he will entertain if you're willing to be like, look, I don't know, like I sort of think this, maybe I'm wrong. But he's sensing from her this certitude that is unearned, and that's really pissing him off, and you could see it in his face. You could tell that he knows she's working backwards from her conclusion. And this is getting good. I enjoy this. Let's keep going.
In it.
But
I know
that's what
it's
I'm
not a
saying.
belief.
But you have a belief that it doesn't exist.
Right. I personally think that this was just the fact that it was presented to us by Al Gore, and
It's not presented to us just by Al Gore.
Right.
Al Gore made a film,
Right.
and he's been called like the first green billionaire.
Yeah.
He's made a shitload of money off of that.
and he flies in his private plane because he's so worried about the emissions. Okay.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
there's something hilarious about that.
all
but,
of the people that are
but
telling
he's
us.
a fucking politician.
Right.
You know, there's grossness to all that stuff.
Right. And that's what worries me. So my question is, let's say that it's real.
Okay.
Let's just assume, like, that's the best way to
Let's
have
say
the
it's
debate.
real.
Let's say it's 100%
Okay.
real. Do you feel that you have found in your research that there is something that human beings can do that would change this all around?
It's possible, yes. One of the things that they're figuring out how to pull carbon out of the atmosphere and even possibly reuse it. There's all sorts of things that people are trying to do. I mean, we had what was the young man who made that device?
Boyan
Slot. He figured out a way to make this device that pulls plastic out of the oceans. They're figuring out a way to. I mean,
That's
there's,
important.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
well, because plastic just can't over time. But that's what I mean. Like, so when I say that I'm I believe in recycling. Like, I'm not like a person that's like this is. But the idea that the government is just going to take trillions of dollars because we're in some agreement where we're all agreeing that we should do something is useless. And look, from the stuff. Like, there's obviously a lot of debate here, and as I said, like, I'm not so. The one thing you always find with me is I'll never pretend to be so educated on something. Like, I'm not going on college campuses talking.
She says that, but then she's also like, I don't believe in that at all. I don't believe in climate change at all. So, like, you express something with complete and utter confidence, and then the next sentence you're like, I'm not going to die on this hill. The reason why she's saying, like, I'm not going to die on this hill is because she knows if you push back on me, I will fold like a cheap lawn chair, which she's currently in the process of doing.
About global warming. I don't do that.
Right, but why are you saying that you don't think it exists?
I don't know. Maybe because it got
Here
so
it is.
maybe
Studies-
because it got so politicized.
Studies into scientific agreement on human-caused global warming, and look at all the studies. It's between 100% and 91% at the lowest. 91% of one of the studies from 2014.
This is the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Yeah, they almost. It's a pretty broad
Right.
consensus.
Who are they polling? Is it the people that are a
Scientists?
part of this
It's a good question.
.org? That's what I'm asking.
10,000
The scientific consensus is clear, building on 2 previous studies. A landmark 2013 peer-reviewed study evaluated 10,306 scientists to confirm that over 97% climate scientists agree, and over 97% of scientific articles that find global warming is real and largely caused by humans. Yeah, but the other thing is, so these points are all valid, for sure, but also there's been a number of meta-analyses on this, and the meta-analyses are actually the best piece of evidence, because what it does is it takes all the peer-reviewed studies on climate change, and it tells you, like, what percentage of them say climate change is real and largely man-made, human-caused. And I don't remember this exact number, but it's definitely over 95% when you look at the meta-analysis of all of, like, the global peer-reviewed climate change research. So there's that, too.
306 scientists to confirm over 97% of climate scientists agree, and over 97% of the scientific articles find that global warming is real and largely caused by humans. Right. So my question to you is, if you want to step outside of the scientific consensus, which is vast and involves 10,306 scientists, and just say, I don't believe in it, even if you're right, you don't have enough information to say that.
Right. No, but that's why I said that's the whole
point. But you're saying you don't believe it.
I don't. Yeah, I would have to have someone sit down and convince me that it was real. I personally don't believe it. That's okay.
But why?
It's good to start at a place of not believing something.
No, it's not.
You think you should start with believing everything?
No, it's not believe either or. Not believe yes, not believe no.
Yeah.
But don't say you don't believe.
Yeah.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
Learn about it and then have an opinion. But you're stating this opinion without having any real understanding of what climate science.
This is wonderful because he's being so condescending in a good way, and also coming across as the everyman as he does it. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, she has the unearned smugness, he has the earned condescension here.
But that's exactly what an opinion is. I'm not going, like I said, if you said that, Candace, you went on to 10,000 college campuses and you said that global warming wasn't real, then we'd have a problem. You and I just having a conversation.
Yeah, but why have an opinion on something that you don't have data about? This is my question. Like, I don't necessarily have an opinion.
Because she's a right-wing hack, and she's towing the party line. That's the answer. And this is why, like, I honestly have no respect for partisan hacks. They drive me fucking crazy. People who are married to a narrative, I call them narrative humpers. People who refuse to deviate from their narrative. And, like, there are plenty of Republican examples of that, Republican Party hacks. There are plenty of Democratic Party hacks. And even in this new, you know, modern era of independent and new media, there's this other issue of, like, audience capture, where you can have it happen as an ideological leftist, too. And somebody who's ideologically on the right. Like, you can have narrative humpers who, like, refuse any evidence and data or points that contradict their narrative. They just, like, don't allow it into the conversation and continue to hump their narrative instead. And it's a real fucking issue, man. And because, you know, if somebody's charismatic and good at their job, but they're just, like, not being honest about the total picture and what the data really shows on any issue, then it's like, that's dangerous and that's misleading. And you can mislead a lot of people that way. And I mean, this is Candace Owens' bread and butter.
You know, in climate science. I really don't. Because I don't know much about it. But what I do know is that what I've read is that the vast majority of people who study it are in agreement that human beings are affecting it.
So just my recall on a lot of things that I read, and this was a while ago, so this is when I first formed my opinion on not believing this, I read a shit ton of articles. Can't recall the data because, like I said, this wasn't something I was super passionate about. It was
He's citing all these scientists. He's going to all these, like, very well-known, credible websites, and she's like, well, I read a shit ton of articles, but I don't remember what they were. Well, thank you, Candace. Forgive me if you haven't convinced me.
It's like somebody posted something, and then I went on, like, a tear reading about it. But it was essentially just noting that in a lot of these studies, like, when you go and if we had time to sit down and really pull this up, they're polling, you know, 10,000 scientists that are within a community that is like these .orgs. Do you believe in everything that MediaMatters.org puts out for statistics? Right? That's a political.
Now notice, before she said, I don't trust a .com, I trust a .org. Now she's saying, well, MediaMatters.org, they're terrible. You don't believe them, right? Well, wait, I thought you just said you trust .orgs, but you don't trust .coms. She's just a hack, man. God, and she's so bad at this. She's so bad at this. Like, the two worst, by far, Candace Owens and Dave Rubin. They're just not good at their jobs.
That's a political arm of the Democratic
talking
Party.
about a different subject.
I know, but this is, I'm just
politics versus science.
But this has been politicized. That's the thing.
Science has been politicized.
Yes, it has. Global warming in particular has been politicized. 100% it has been politicized. Right? That's the whole reason I fell down this dark hole one night reading about it. And I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't really care.
It has been politicized, but I think that's also maybe why you're saying you don't agree with it so quickly.
Right.
Because it's an ideological right-wing point.
Right.
Is that global warming isn't real.
Right.
If you're one of those people that thinks global warming isn't real, you're almost always on the right.
Right. And that's fine. But I'm telling you that, like, again, I didn't do a deep dive on all of this because I read about it because it was at a forefront of discussion. So I read about it all night. And my conclusion was that they started pulling up all of these studies from the person that, did this that I did a deep dive on. And they started showing how, like, these community of scientists were, in fact, somewhere behind that .org as someone that was being funded. So to me, the issue got too politicized.
So notice, the skepticism cuts in the direction of, the over 10,000 scientists, the peer-reviewed data, the meta-analyses, etc. That's where the skepticism goes. Now, does she apply that skepticism to the 2% or 3% of scientists who say the thing that she agrees with? No. For them, it's don't look at their funding sources, don't question their motives, just like look at their points and look at their arguments. For the side she doesn't agree with, it's, let's dismiss it because of non-specific claims of corruption for all of them that I'm gonna, lay out right now. That's absurd. And also, by the way, the conspiracy that would have to have happened for 97, 98% of the world's climate scientists to come to this conclusion, it is such a vast conspiracy with so many moving parts, there's no way they would have been able to pull that shit off. In other words, Occam's razor is, it's much more likely that the 2 or 3% of scientists who don't agree with climate change are the ones who are bought off. And by the way, when you look at the specifics, that is exactly what happened. Most of them are funded by fucking Chevron or ExxonMobil, or they have ties to the coke industry. A lot of the same, by the way, I remember covering this back in the day on my show. A lot of the same people, the same so-called experts and scientists who say, oh, climate change isn't happening, or it is happening, but it's not man-made. There's a variety of claims out there. A lot of those people were also the same ones who were bought off to say that smoking doesn't cause cancer back in the day. Not kidding. Same people. Real incredible stuff.
Is for me to believe that global warming was something that was going to wipe out the world. Now,
scientists get funded. That is a fact.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that the funding affects the scientific research and the data, which they all agree on. And this is universally across the entire planet.
Yeah.
And most of the funding, I shouldn't say most because I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of the funding for the, almost all of the scientists who say climate change is real, it's just government grants. And it's not like they're making profit on it. It's like bare minimum shit. So like they're not getting wealthy by doing this stuff, So it's just, again, her claims fall apart under a minimal amount of scrutiny.
Thousands and thousands of scientists would not stake their reputation on false data. What they're saying is not that the only reason why the world is getting warm is because human beings. That the only reason why the climate isn't totally static for the rest of eternity is because of human beings. What they're saying is we are negatively impacting our own environment, and we're doing it because we have poor technology and we use coal and fossil fuels and emissions, and we're raising our CO2 levels. And this is based on data. Yeah. And this is something that you can look at. You could look at the data and follow where they're getting this information from, and follow how they're making these conclusions, and follow the vast majority of these brilliant people who study this shit their whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And if I was a person that was putting forth policy on climate change, or if I was a person that put out my opinion publicly on climate change, I would do all of that. I'm just not.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that you're a very smart person, and people listen to you, and they're going to listen to you for a long time.
No, Joe. No, she is not. I know he's just being nice here, but she is certainly not a very smart person.
But this is what I hate. This is what I hate. Because then it's like, Candace, you have to have a formed opinion on everything.
No, you don't have to have a formed opinion on everything. What you do have to have is the ability to know when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
But I just said that. I said that to you the entire time. I said this
was... Oh, he's pissed. He's pissed. He's like, you gotta admit when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, he's mad, bro. He is mad.
I said, I don't believe it. And then you asked me, and I said, this...
All he wants is like agnosticism from her. That's it. Just be like, I don't know. He's not even trying to move her to be like, to acknowledge that climate change is real. He's just like, at least admit that you're agnostic and you don't fucking know.
Wouldn't be the hill I chose to die on because I don't
but why
follow
even
it.
say you don't believe in it?
Because I just personally, if you
how about not have a belief until you really have
okay,
looked
so
at the
you
data?
would prefer if my language, as opposed to admitting that I do not know this, I wouldn't die on this hill, I've never made a video, I've never made a public statement. You would have preferred if I had just started by saying I have no opinion.
No, I don't know.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. You say
but I said I didn't know.
No, you say I don't believe in it.
Yeah,
I don't believe in it. You're saying really clearly that you don't think it's real.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it would be the same if I said to you, like, you know, do you believe in God, right?
No, I would say I don't know.
You would say, so that's this, I feel like this is sort of like linguistics, though.
No, I would say I don't know.
Okay.
I always say I don't know. I'm agnostic.
Most people say, like, I believe it or I don't, right? So it's like if you say...
I think a lot of people say they don't know.
Okay, I think believe is definitely a word that's associated with God. But,
right,
so
but a lot of people say that they don't know
but if you
if they
say I
believe
don't
in
believe in
God,
and then somebody starts saying, oh, you need to form it, it's like, I just don't believe in it.
No, you don't, because God is not scientific data.
Right.
There's a big difference between measuring the CO2 levels in the atmosphere and deciding whether or not there's an afterlife.
Right.
Oh, he's fucking her up, dog. He's going in for the kill.
I'm sorry that I just don't believe. I don't believe in global warming. I'm happy to.
You're allowed to not believe in it.
That's all I've been trying to say. Is I don't believe in it. But I have not.
You're an influencer.
Yeah,
and you're a very bright person.
But if somebody had asked me, like at a place where I'm influencing on a college campus, what's your opinion? I would say I have none.
I bet you.
Oh, you're quote unquote influencing here on the Joe Rogan podcast, and you didn't say you have no opinion. You said I don't believe it's real. I don't believe in it, and you laughed at the notion. Oh, she's being so slimy and weaselly.
You would say, I don't believe in it, like you just did.
That is absolutely not,
that's not
true. There are so many instances where you could watch this. Just like, and you can ask Dave Rubin, when he asks me a question, I say, I don't have an opinion on it.
About a different subject,
but yeah,
perhaps.
because you and I are having a conversation one-on-one. I'm not sitting here to try to, I don't go on campus talking about global warming because I don't have an opinion on it. But
Okay.
if you press me and ask me if I believe in it, no, I don't really believe in it. But could I go deep dive and learn that perhaps I'm wrong? Sure. I personally am inclined to believe that a lot of those studies are manipulated. As I said, during the one night that I did deep dive on it, when they showed like all of the pieces of evidence or whatever, it just seemed a little shady, and I felt that it was politicized. But I think that I have a right to say that I don't believe in something, but that I also don't know, and that's what I said to you. I don't believe in it, but I wouldn't die on this hill. I don't know enough about it.
You did say you wouldn't die on this hill.
Yeah.
But you also said.
I love how she keeps using the word politicized. Like, to her, an issue is quote unquote politicized when the plethora of the evidence is on the other side. Why is it? Why you don't think you're politicizing it? Because in her mind, it's like, well, no, I have to be correct. Well, wait, what if you're the one who's politicizing it? What about that? But she trots it out as like, the reason why this makes no sense is because it's politicized. But the politicization, that's always a hard word to say, is only for the side that she doesn't agree with. Those are the only ones who could be guilty of the politicization.
You don't believe in it, and you stated the reason why, because you think it's a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the truth. What do you want me to do? You want me to lie to you?
No, it's okay, but
I'm not
think
sitting
it's
here
a
saying
complicated issue.
He's being nice here. What he really wants to say is, you're fucking wrong. You got concrete where your brain is supposed to be, and you can't admit and acknowledge the obvious when they just fucking showed you on the screen. The Scientific American article, the other article that they showed, again, he didn't even show the meta-analyses, that's the real, debate ender there. The amalgamation of every single peer-reviewed study on this issue. So she just can't, she's working backwards from her conclusions. She can't acknowledge evidence to the contrary because she's married more to her political ideology and her, being a conservative Republican. She's married more to that identity than to any concern about truth or reality.
It may be complicated. That's fine. But what do you want me to lie to you and say, I'm not a politician? You want me to, should the correct term, I feel like this.
We want you to not have a cinder block where your head's supposed to be. That's what we want you to do.
It's just like the editing that people do, when they're like, Obama, if they ask you a question, you don't know, this is the way. I'm not running for office. I'm answering, I'm talking to you. I don't believe in it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I can't be fake. This is my number one problem in life is I can't be fake. And I know that.
My number one problem in life is I can't be fake. Oh my goodness. I hope that goes on her tombstone. My number one problem in life is I can't be fake.
You're pressing me here and that you want me to adjust and to say, I do not have an opinion or but I'm not a politician. I'm telling you, I don't believe in it. Could I change my perspective and believe in it a year after I read stuff?
If you were just a regular person, you said I don't believe in it, I'd probably go, all right. The problem is you're not. You're a very influential person.
But I'm aware when I'm on stage, when I'm on my YouTube channel, there's no videos of Candace Owens talking about global warming. I'm aware of that.
Now there is, bitch. Now there is.
There is now.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's going to be Joe Rogan and Candace. Go ahead.
I beat you to the punchline, Joe. Well, actually, you beat me by years and years and years because you actually had the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are going to be mad at me.
It's weird because
you fucking global warming shill. Global warming's
You know what's
fake.
funny though is that like this feels so like we're not on the internet right now. That's like I still don't feel like we're on the internet. This is the problem. Yeah, but like if you and I were on a college campus, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I don't have informed my discussion.
I don't know jack shit about global warming. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think the real fear is not even global warming. The real fear is global cooling. The ice age is the most terrifying thing that can happen to human beings.
Yeah.
When that shit happens, everybody dies.
Yeah, I know.
Global warming, you just move inland.
Yeah, I think that the real thing that
Get a
people
good air
are concerned
conditioner.
about is like just beyond any of that stuff. I don't know. I think that there's like more concerns in society. Like I personally think that some scientists started talking about global warming and it got politicized and they figured it was another way to extract human beings' money because of fear. That's my opinion. Okay?
I think there's
Those greedy scientists. Big scientists has been working on this, and as you guys know, they're swimming in the fucking cash right now. There's so many like billionaire university scientist researchers, aren't there? Oh wait, there's fucking none.
probably some truth to that. There's
And then they said,
definitely
we're going to find
people-
our core scientists that agree with everything we say. It's proven that Harvard studies have been incorrect because they were being funded by certain political interest groups. So I'm
Harvard
not inclined
studies
to pull
on
up something
what?
on I'm blanking. It'll
She just got caught speeding again, dog. She just got caught speeding, just making stuff up. How many times have I been on Rogan where I'll say some shit and then I'll be like, Jamie, I read that in like in a Newsweek article like 2-3 years ago. Like, if you want to pull that up, and then he pulls it up and he's like, here's the fucking article. Now compare that with how Candace Owens is acting. Now I know I'm like, it's almost an unfair comparison because it's like I'm boxing with like a toddler here, but it's true. Like if I said some shit, I'd be like, hey man, like here, I think I read it in this publication. Like you take a look, and then inevitably he'll find. There was one time I remember this. There was one time where I was talking about the big censorship purge, a lot of like deplatforming, like a whole bunch of accounts were purged over a short period of time. And I was like, I read like a Guardian article on it, and it goes into the specifics because Joe was prodding and he was asking specifics. And I was like, I don't remember exactly, but if you pull up the Guardian article, we could find it. And for a while, he couldn't find it. He couldn't find it for like, shit. It felt like 10 minutes. Maybe it was 10 minutes. You have to go back and look, but he finally found it. And that's what happened every single time I brought something up and they wanted to fact check it. I would be like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Like, I remember it was in this and it was this year or whatever. And compare that to Candace. She's caught speeding every single time.
come back to me in a second, but there were Harvard papers that have been funded by certain researchers that are trying to get a certain political position out, and it causes mass fear. People are willing to spend their money a certain way.
It's entirely possible.
It is, but it's
People
real.
are
That's
flawed.
very real. People are flawed. So I'm
Yeah.
not inclined when someone pulls up an article and says, look, 10,000 scientists, I err on the side of, okay, I don't know who those scientists are. I don't know what this organization is funded by. So I'm going to stick by my guns and say I don't really believe in it yet. Now, if I decide that I'm going to run for office and I've got to make a decision on the atmosphere and what we're going to do about global warming and CO2 emissions, you better believe I will be fully ready to discuss it. I'm not going to make a YouTube video and just know the outskirts of it. I don't do that, right? But if you and I are having a discussion, sorry, I don't believe in it. Like, I don't know what to say.
I would say
Open to
again-
learning.
Okay.
Open to learning. I'm
Okay.
always open to learning. I've been wrong before. I was a liberal 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So that's not a problem. I'm open to.
I was a liberal 2 years ago, so I'm open to learning. So, like, I was wrong then, but I'm right now. She's so insufferable. Holy shit.
learning, but I'm not gonna pretend say something that feels inauthentic. And what I wanted to say there was I don't believe in it.
This is one-
There you go. There it is. I think he did a good job in there. Most of his best moments were when he was just sort of fed up. And he's not trying to be combative. He's not trying to be argumentative or to debate. He's just so annoyed by obvious flaws in thinking. And that gave us a lot of his best moments. And this is definitely one of them. And we'll probably, I'll probably do some other throwback segments where we cover other ones because this stuff is golden. And again, I think the thing that really strikes me here is that he's so nice and he's so reasonable that he's not even trying to get her to admit, look at the fucking evidence, it's real. I mean, that in his heart of hearts, that's what he probably wanted. But he just settled on, for the love of God, at least just say you're agnostic. At least just say, I don't know. Because she was like, I don't believe in it. I don't think it's real. He's like, okay, at least say you're agnostic on it. Please, please, I'm trying to help you out. But yeah, I mean, clearly this is one of those issues where Joe believes it's really only partisan hacks on the far right who stick to their guns and overlook all the evidence because it's just part of the canon of beliefs that climate change must be fake. It's not real. So anyway, there you have it. Joe Rogan casually dismantling and slaughtering Candace Owens.